Hello everyone. Today I will be featuring the French Tier 8, the Charles Martel, and I will also be showing off a new glitch that has been almost certainly introduced with 0.6.4, as this glitch has not been seen in the game by pretty much anyone before this, or as far as I know, not anyone. Starting off though, the French Tier 8 cruiser, it's surprisingly terrible in its stock configuration. The stock Charles Martel only has 30.8k health, which is terrible for Tier 8, but once you get the upgrade, it does become much more comfortable. If I had to describe the playstyle on it, it plays very much like the Mogami, except unlike the Mogami, you don't quite have the same pure DPM and pure IFHE power that the Mogami has, but on the other hand, you have much more range, and you're not nearly as prone to eating citadels as that ship is. This is a division game, so it's not as accurate as of a playstyle, but we are against tier 10s, which of course makes life a lot harder. And now, the reason I chose this game, even though it's a division game, which means of course a bunch of being smoked up and such, but I doubt you guys need to see me kiting away and spamming HE. If you want to see what kind of playstyle you should play this ship in solo, just watch my Algerie commentaries, or I think my previous Charles Martel commentary, because the ship hasn't really changed much at all since the preview phase and the way it plays now, besides of course the speed boost changing significantly. Tashkent for some reason pushes into a cap. This is of course something I strongly disagree with and strongly recommend against. Pushing into caps as a Russian DD is never recommended. Switching to AP as I see a nice broadside Edinburgh sitting still. I know I can easily lob these shells over the island, so I aim right at his broadside even though it's hidden behind a rock, because my shells will land behind it, as they do. Only one citadel though. The AP on the Charles Martel is actually surprisingly strong. People underestimate it. Like the Algerie is very much an HE spammer, but on this one you have both options. And here you see the glitch in action. I'm trying to shoot. You notice only one of my turrets shoots. I have two. I try to click. I spam click. Nothing happens. I zoom out. I zoom in. Only now do I launch two of the guns. And this is a new glitch that has arrived in 0.6.4. Your guns sometimes refuse to fire for no apparent reason. They just lock up. They refuse. The game somehow doesn't process the command to fire. It just doesn't work. The shells don't go off, and it's not a hardware problem. Of course my mouse works just fine, as evidenced by playing before and after this game without any issues and being able to tab out and click other things without any issues. It's just that for some reason the game stops taking the fire command. It stops registering the command at all. And at first I thought this was when one of my division mates actually had this a few games earlier, and it sounded really weird because I'd never heard of it before, and of course I instantly assumed, well, it's probably some sort of hardware issue. But when it happened to me as well, and talking to people, it seems that it has happened to a few people here and there. And for everyone, it's something that has only happened since this latest patch. By the way, do you notice how much damage I did there? That was like 9k on a Yamato broadside. That's what I mean about the Charles Martel AP being very, very strong and worth using on broadside battleships. But the glitch is the reason why I chose this game, even though it's a division game, because this is the first time it has happened to me, but I know I'm not the only person, and feel free to leave a comment if it has happened to you as well in this patch. It would be a nice idea to see how prevalent this is. I play a fair amount, and this is the first time I had it in this patch. But I know it has happened to my clanmates, and someone in chat also said it has happened to them, so it would be interesting to get some sort of prevalence on this and knowing how often it does happen, because it is extremely frustrating. New Orleans gives broadside, happily shooting AP at that. No citadels though, but you can see the amount of damage you do is still considerable. If you wonder how I was caught there, I didn't expect to be spotted because I was behind an island, but a DD who kept A has obviously pushed all the way into our spawn, as evidenced by the torps that were heading my way. So we have a rogue DD somewhere in our spawn, which was the reason I almost got killed there. I didn't expect someone to do that, but it almost really screwed me over. and seeing as my division mate, my Benson, is going there to deal with him, I'm already starting to move away here in case he does need help. It depends on, of course, what he runs into. Montana broadside, just out of range. The playstyle on this ship, very much like the Mogami, except unlike the raw damage, as I said, you instead have better speed, better mobility, I would say, thanks to the speed boost, and especially if you use the recommended upgrade, as I said, you should get, you get 4.5 minutes of speed boost. It also isn't as prone to citadels as the Mogami is, thanks to the spaced armor. And overall, the increased range, the Mogami has like 15.7. This guy has 17.6, I think. So it does make a huge difference. So you're much more comfortable at long range. And the guy who flanked is actually a Gearing, which is very surprising since Gearings are excellent capture point contesters and great, fantastic team players in general. So running off solo flanking with a Gearing is of course not really recommended. But that does pose a problem because my Benson body has no chance. The Gearing DPM just murders him, so he has to smoke up and still almost gets completely wrecked. So I instantly turn that way and move to help him, of course, because that's the issue of playing against tier 10s. Some ships, no matter how good you are, you simply can't beat them. Gearing torps, barely being spotted just in front of me, of course. That's the advantage of Gearing torp concealment. They have 1.4 km concealment, so you have very little time to react. So if you see one pop up in front of you, you need to start evading like I did there. I instantly started evading as soon as the first one popped up, because you never know how many might be popping up from somewhere around in stealth in front of you. In fact, I was quite lucky that my fighter plane, which I have in the air, managed to spot that one torp since it gave me some reaction time warning. And I'm not spotted even though I'm closing in, which of course tells me that the DD is probably still hiding in the smoke. And my buddy, of course, since he's not a potato, he runs RPF on the USDD, so he's able to tell me exactly where he is and point me in the right direction. And I use that information, well, to angle against him. Of course, you want to sail straight towards the DD. That's the hardest angle for an enemy DD to hit you from. Moving into the camp, I am detected now. The concealment is 10.5 on the tier 8, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's not as good as Mogami's 9.3 or Atago 9.1, or New Orleans 9.1, but it is pretty good, pretty competitive. Gearing gives me broadside, instantly punish him, giving me some more broadside. Broke his torpedo tubes, which is always good. He already used them though, it seems. And what do we have here? Well, you see, guns locked up again. No reason, no explanation. There's no desync, there's no lag. I'm trying to click, I'm spamming click, nothing happens. My guns refuse to fire. There's no lag issues, you can see there's no warping, no desync, no nothing. Everything moves and reacts exactly the way they should. But for some reason, at a random time, guns straight up refuse to fire. And this will keep happening this game. This will continually keep popping up this game, this glitch. And after this game, I instantly restarted my client, and the next game it was gone. The bug was completely gone, like it had never been there. But I'm actually really happy that I have replays enabled so that I could get an example of this. So if one of you guys are playing a game and all of a sudden your guns stop working, you know what's going on, you know what the reason is. It's not going to be your hardware issue, it's not going to be something wrong in your end. It's something Wargaming has done in 0.6.4, this latest patch. Something they have done has somehow managed to mess this thing up, because I've never had this before. This is the first time, and none of my division mates have ever had this before. I mean, you should hear the surprise when suddenly they go, I can't shoot, what the hell is going on, I can't shoot. And of course you think, wow, did my mouse break or something, or am I lagging? But neither of those reasons are, or neither of those explanations are the reason. It's something they have done in this patch. I really hope no one has to suffer for this in a competitive game, because this is of course a straight up game breaking glitch for whoever it happens to. Because, I mean, imagine in a competitive game, you get a broadside on someone and your guns won't fire. That would actually be insanely frustrating. Hell, if the ranked season pops up and this bug doesn't get fixed until then, that's going to be a lot of salty people that ranked season, I can tell you that right now, and for a good reason. There's also the case that some carrier players have reported that they feel like the UI has more of a delay, like an input delay when they give commands. I don't know if it's somehow related, or maybe it's just a placebo effect. I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past them, considering they have somehow actually managed to mess up one of the most fundamental things in this game, which is firing your guns. I mean, if you can't use your guns, there's a whole lot of things you can't do in this game, so that's obviously a pretty goddamn important glitch to address, and pretty important glitch to bring attention to. So this is why this game in particular was the one I chose, because you can't, this is not the kind of glitch that can just be allowed to sit around. This is the kind of glitch that needs a hotfix, and ASAP, because, yep, you see what happens again? My guns refuse to fire. I zoom in, I click, 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 finally it works. And now it seems to be working again. Random lockups of your guns. Like, and one of the guns fires, the other refuses to fire. Two of them are reloaded. I keep spamming his burned his damage gun. I'm spamming, hammering my left mouse button. I keep trying to make the guns work. They will not fire. I zoom in, zoom out, still won't fire. Getting frustrated, getting annoyed. I know he's burned his damage con. I want to set fires on him. Nothing's happening. Absolutely nothing. My guns. And finally, all of a sudden, once again, for no real understandable reason, they suddenly work again. Like, I have no idea what they've done. It's just such a baffling glitch. It makes so little sense, but it comes and it goes. And it was only this game I restarted right after, because I didn't want to experience this kind of frustrating gameplay again. So I obviously restarted my client right after, and it was gone, and I haven't seen it since. But very annoying, extremely annoying, game breaking, in fact. Here, of course, you see the power of the Martel HE, though. A very strong 203mm HE, good fire starter. With flags plus DE, you get a 19% fire chance, which is fantastic. And any enemy cruisers have a hard time sailing away from you, because you can quite comfortably hit them at long ranges. And with speed boost, you are of course quite fast as well. So not really an easy cruiser to run away from, and a very hard cruiser to catch as well, since you can of course kite away and spam the same way. And this Moskva of course finds it out the hard way. He tries to flee from me, but not really much chance. I easily hunt him down and kill him. And now it's really just a DD and a rune left. See if I can maybe nail this guy as well. He's full HP, which is a bit surprising. I don't know what this rune has been doing all game. But even at what, 16.6 km, I'm still able to land shells on him. So the dispersion on the shells is generally fairly good. I of course use the range on the anti-air mod, not reduce dispersion, because it has such a small impact on cruisers. Because cruisers are generally quite accurate to begin with. Is straight up fleeing, but I'm still able to nail him every now and then with a shell or two here. And as long as he keeps firing, I will keep him spotted, and as long as my speed boost is active, I should be able to catch up to him. Only got 24 seconds left. This is of course with the increased duration on it, but it looks like the game is going to end before I even have any chance of killing him. We already have 965, 971 points, and for some reason this rune is still fleeing. Once again, don't really understand why people flee when the game is about to get lost. Your only chance of gaining more money, more XP, having a bigger impact is fighting, rushing the enemy, picking a fight, trying to get some kills. The only thing running away will achieve is less money, less XP for yourself. That's literally the only thing you achieve. Well, game ends there, and looking at the score, 136k damage, not that special, but considering my guns refuse to work so many times, I'll take it happily. Team score wise, our tier 8 division managed to top the scores, which is always nice in a tier 10 game, especially since the enemy had a tier 10 battleship division and stuff like that on the enemy team. It's of course always nice to be able to overcome it. And looking at the detailed report, 1.1 million potential damage. Not that much, considering a lot of smoke sitting as well. But pretty important to look at the damage cost. You can see 73k damage with AP. You shouldn't underestimate the AP on the Charles Martel. Is actually very, very strong. The ship overall is quite a balanced tier 8, I would say. It won't be seen in competitive because it lacks things that you need for competitive play, but for random battles, this ship should be a very comfortable grind. It's got the range, it's got strong HE, good fire chance, strong AP. With the speed boost it's maneuverable enough. The concealment isn't fantastic, but it's not terrible either. Just plenty of WASD hacks, aka plenty of maneuvering to avoid incoming shells, and you should be able to pretty comfortably farm your way through the entire tier 8 grind. So overall, the Charles Martel isn't a bad ship at all. Anyway, let's move on to my recommended build. Starting off, we of course have the modules. Now, I've already moved on to the St. Louis, so I'll have to do this through the tech tree. But the very first thing you'll be wanting to get on the Charles Martel is actually the hull. Default range is 16 km and you can manage fairly well with it. And getting the hull upgrade is very important because it gives you so many upgrades. First of all, the HP buff alone is massive, 7.2k HP, that's like a 20% increase to the health you already have. It's a huge upgrade. So for the HP alone, getting the hull first is probably the main idea, because the stock one only has 31k health, which is not a lot for tier 8. The hull also gives you better anti-air, but most importantly it gives you better concealment and much better rudder shift. So get the hull first and then get the gun upgrades, because you're already moving up this path. It gives you a nice reload and turret traverse buff. So getting the gun upgrade and then finally getting the range last is my recommended upgrade path. Consumable wise, very similar to the other French cruisers, of course. Premium repair is a priority. You don't have heal yet on the tier 8, but premium speed boost if you can afford it, followed by a premium defensive AA. Not necessary, but if you can afford it. Upgrade wise, the very same as I use on the tier 9, main armaments mod 1, AA guns mod 2, you want to increase the AA range. It's usually the most useful upgrade for any sort of cruiser. The speed boost or engine boost modification 1, which increases your speed boost by 50%. Rudder shift and concealment. This is the tier 9 upgrade, which you don't have access to at tier 8. Captain perks wise, I'm using exactly the same captain as I did on my tier 8. I'm using it on my tier 9 because this build works really well. Although, once again, I will say that I don't consider expert marksman that necessary, so this can probably be replaced with something else. But the basic build is still the same, which is priority target, adrenaline rush, demolition expert, concealment expert, superintendent, AFT, and then 2 points to spend on. In this case, probably jack of all trades would be quite good. Potentially you might skip out on, I don't really know actually. I think jack of all trades might just be the best one. It might really just be the best one. Alternatively, you could go for the double fighter planes and preventive maintenance. That might also be an option, or perhaps expert loader and direction center. Ultimately, it's not that important, and I doubt too many of you have a 19-point captains to worry about that yet. I will figure that out by the time I reach the Henry 4, and then I'll know exactly what I want to do with those last 2 points. Anyway, that was my Charles Martel commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.